All right, let's talk about Arsenal against Manchester City. Yes, we're still talking about this. This was the big game on Sunday in the Premier League. And even though it ended in a draw, a lot of criticism was placed at Mikel Arteta's feet, saying that he played too conservatively. Well, Mikel Arteta was speaking today about what he heard from that criticism. Have a listen.
Does it frustrate you, or is it people just not looking at the approach you're actually setting the team up in terms of how you want them to play rather than the specific individual players that you want to get?
No, because I don't read it, but he does tell me a little bit what the narrative is around it. If you tell me that this is the main one, if I'm surprised, I would be extremely surprised with my knowledge and my know-how and how I analyze a football game. Because it was impossible for somebody to predict such a dominance from Arsenal throughout 96 minutes, because it never happened in 17 years of Pep as a manager. So if the narrative goes somewhere else, and we talk about dominance, no, about something else, how can you be dominant against such a team if you have, what was the word it was used?
Handbrake.
Handbrake. Yeah. Dominance and handbrake, I mean, there are two different worlds. But I accept everything, so I will learn more to have a different vision.
All right, so everyone looks a bit puzzled there.
Well, I was intrigued by a couple of things he said there. And he said, my knowledge and my know-how. I mean, are we running before we can walk here? He's yet to get this Arsenal team over the line. I mean, he won an FA Cup back in the day. My God, it was that long ago. Aubameyang was still playing. I think he is smarting at any sort of criticism that comes his way. And I was watching the show yesterday with Gab and Xhaka and Robbo. I know you guys were talking about it. The crux here, and I was thinking the same thing. When I saw the team sheet, the first thing I thought about was the middle of the park. And before I get to that, let me go back to another thing. He's talking about the dominance of Man City. Yeah. Nobody's ever dominated Man City like they did. Man City are a different beast this year. I heard you guys talking about it yesterday. How, they scored that early goal and they went back into a bit more defence. But you look at some of the games this year, including the Man United game, I believe, where Man United were weak in the final third. But I do believe United, and I stand corrected, had more possession in that game.
Yes. In the second half, yeah,
right.
A lot more.
Brighton, the same. City have been less about, and this is going back to Arteta's point, about we dominated them. City are allowing teams, or City are playing less of a possession game this year. And again, it goes back to yesterday's show, maybe try to be a bit more direct up to Erling Haaland. Maybe trying to hit the ball forward a bit quicker. And less of this tiki-taka possession, which we know Arsenal can do. So he hasn't all of a sudden figured the whole thing out and they can dominate Man City. Because other teams have been dominating Man City. Yeah. Right? So let's get that out there for starters. The second one is, I was surprised at the team selection. I'll tell you why. For anybody that watched the Liverpool game early on at the very start of the season, it was the same midfield three. And it was lacking guile in that game. Yeah, they dominated some of the possession. Yeah, they looked okay defensively until Szoboszlai scored that great free kick. But that midfield really didn't offer anything going forward. And when I saw the team sheet at the weekend, my first thought was the same thing. Is Mikel Merino going to make those runs into the box that we know he can? Well, we didn't really see that. And when Zubimendi, who's very tidy, goes from side to side, as Robbo likes to say, I think he's a bit better than that. But he does tend to pass it a little bit square. He links the play up. When he's doing that, it needs others to do something different. And clearly when Eze came on and played sort of in behind, he obviously created the goal. It just looked much more dangerous. And I know City were getting back and they made their substitutes, they were getting deeper and deeper. But I was surprised by the team selection, and it said to me, I want to be more solid in the middle of the park rather than more attacking at the start of the game. And nobody's going to give, and this is only my opinion, Arsenal have come, I don't think, what is it, nobody's ever finished second in the Premier League 4 times or something like that. And they could be setting a record if they don't win and finish second. Nobody is going to hand them the Premier League. They're not going to say, here it is. You're going to have to go out and win it. And early season thoughts are a little bit too negative. Maybe that's too strong. A little bit too negative in the early games.
Yeah, I don't have a problem at all with setting up to be more conservative against Manchester City, and then maybe you're good on set pieces. Maybe Madueke scampers through. You've got Gyökeres in the air, whatever. But once you get punched in the face, to paraphrase Mike Tyson, once Haaland scores and you're a goal down, all your talk of dominance means we dominated them, we created tons of chances after that. And you didn't do that. You had a ton of sterile possession after that. Yeah. And then we can debate, for me, I'm a big Ranieri guy. I think he can do some of what Odegaard does, who I thought was sorely missed. Or you find a more direct way to play. You knock it in the box, Gyökeres the ball bounces off him, Marino runs it, whatever, Rice runs it. But you didn't do any of that. So it almost sounds like you're kind of taking the mickey here when you talk like, we dominated them with our possession, when you even managed to lose the expected goals despite the fact that you were at home and you were chasing the game for 81 minutes.
It was easy possession, wasn't it? Because City had gone.
But because City decided to go, because Pep can beat you many different ways. And if he realized, we're a goal up away from home early, I'm going to go. I've got Haaland and Doku who are super fast. I'm just going to have all my guys back and just play on the counter and play in transition. And because I can do that too, because I'm Pep and I'm not this one-dimensional stereotype that people depicted me as. And that's why I said yesterday, he got out-coached and he got out-foxed in this by Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest ever. But yeah, he got this wrong.
My issue, and sorry, before we get to Frank, my issue here is, again, you go back, Arsenal are going to have to go and take this title, right? Going to have to go and they're going to take, and they may well do. It's very early in the season. They have a great squad. And he has all the tools. He's been given them. Yeah. There they are. Here's the money. Here's the doubling up in most positions. Okay, we don't know what kind of season Gyökeres is going to have. If he doesn't get much service, then it's going to be tough for him as well. So all this sort of tippy-tappy stuff isn't doing him any favours. He likes balls in the box. Likes balls down the side of defenders where he can use his strength to roll them. But my issue is City are not the dominant force to worry. You've always got to think about an opponent. But it's not City of 2 or 3 years ago where they put the fear of God in you when they turn up on your doorstep. It's just not. Yeah. They've been beaten this season by Brighton and Tottenham. They've shown their deficiencies. You can get at them. You can possess the ball. You can hurt them because defensively, they've looked a little stronger with Kushnerov at right back. I thought Nico Riley did a decent job at left back. He's not a defender. But you can get at them. And that's why I would prefer Arsenal to be on the front foot with a team selection. Because I know with Zubimendi and Rice, I'm probably going to dominate in there anyway. That's why he's in Ranieri. I really like Eze. Yeah. I think he can play in several positions. I think he's clever enough to do that. And he's been on the big stage and he's performed on the big stage, albeit it was for Crystal Palace. And I would have preferred to see somebody like him in there rather than having 3 solid midfielders, because City are there for the taking. And I think Arsenal missed an opportunity here. And when you miss too many opportunities during the season, you will not win the league.
Frank, what did you make of what Mikel Arteta had to say about the criticism that he received and what the boys are saying about it as well?
Well, that's only fair for me because, the team selection was wrong. I mean, when you have the chance to have 2 players like Zubimendi and Rice or Merino and Rice, you don't need to have a triple all together, and you can add somebody more offensive. And I'm sorry, when the team selection, when I see at the beginning of the game on the bench Martinelli, Saka, and Eze, I say there is something wrong. You have those 3 players always. You have game changers, and it's what I like. Madueke is a kind of those players who can change the pace, like you have in Doku for Manchester City. Those players who can change the pace. Well, can take on players and they are very fast and you cannot think in front of them. You just react and do what you can do, the best you can do. And Arsenal didn't have that. And it was too conservative in the middle of the park. And when the guys like Eze and Saka came on, and after Martinelli they came on, we could see that the change was there and that it should have been done at the beginning. And yes, the opportunity to get the 3 points was missed because of a team selection for me. And he has another game on the Saturday or Sunday against Newcastle. And if he doesn't win, I think Arteta can be in danger because he made some, well, mistakes that you can easily avoid by making the right choice and an obvious choice, like everybody said, and it's why he's been throughout, many criticisms.
I wasn't surprised Saka never started. Because Madueke came off with an injury. Madueke was the one guy that was running at Nico O'Reilly in the first half. He came off, he was injured, because otherwise Trossard would have been off. I wasn't surprised Saka didn't start because, and I heard you and Dan talking about it yesterday. At the end of the day, he was out for 4 months last year with a hamstring. He's had an early season hamstring this year. So you're kind of nursing him in, and it was a kind of needs must. But I was surprised with the non-inclusion of Eze. I'm not saying he's been brilliant since he's gone to Arsenal, but I do think he's a brilliant player, and I think you need to give him his head and give him a run of games. I think if you do that, he'll grow in confidence and he'll create. He can score goals, he can create, he can play players in, and it's not like you need 3 midfielders in there because you've got a ropey defence. Arsenal don't have a ropey defence.
Yeah.
They have 4 centre backs.
Yeah, they've got a very good, solid defence.